Hello, my name is Andrii Smyrnov. I am a professor of history of the National University of Ostroh Academy, and I'm really excited to present you today the results of my research project dedicated to the history of the Orthodox Church on the Polish territories during the Second World War. The title of my talk is The Reorganization of the Orthodox Church in German-occupied Poland, 1939-1940. In 1924, the Orthodox Church in Interwar Poland, headed by Metropolitan Dionysius Volodinsky of Warsaw, received a Thomas of autocephaly from the Ecumenical Patriarchate as a former part of the ancient Kiev Metropolitanate. The Polish government sought to use it for the state assimilation of the Ukrainian population, and in the second half of 1930s, declared adopting a course of forced Polonization of Orthodoxy. Such a policy of the Polish state led to the deterioration of the interconfessional situation. It became one of the crucial factors in the aggravation of Polish-Ukrainian relations on the eve of the Second World War. In 1939, the Polish autocephalous Orthodox Church included 5 eparchies, 1,160 parishes, 1,792 priests. They were mainly Ukrainians, Belarusians, and Russians. The Orthodox population of the Holmshchina and Podlyassia regions belonged to the Warsaw and Holm eparchy, which included 258 parishes and 821,000 Orthodox Christians. The outbreak of the Second World War led to the significant changes in the life of the Orthodox Church in Western Ukraine. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact territorially divided the Polish Church into 2 unequal parts. As a result, Holmshchina and Podlyassia became part of the general government, and the largest Volhynia eparchy was within the Soviet Union. On September 1st, 1939, Metropolitan Dionysius, in a special message recalling the victory of the Prince Konstantin Ivanovich Ostroh, called on all believers of the Orthodox Church to protect the Polish state. Orthodox parishes in the territories of the said Reich came under the jurisdiction of Archbishop Seraphim Leade of Berlin in Germany. He belonged to the Russian Orthodox Church abroad and was considered Berlin's leading expert on church affairs. Since the synod of this church did not recognize Polish autocephaly, but was concerned about the situation of the Orthodox population of occupied Poland, it instructed Archbishop Seraphim to assist the Warsaw Diocese. At the same time, the Russian Civil Committee, which sought to subordinate the Orthodox parishes of Karlovy Vary's jurisdiction and thus get rid of autocephaly, became significantly more active in Warsaw. The leaders of the Russian community offered to head the church to Vicar Bishop Timothy Schroeter. However, he did not enjoy the support of the occupiers and was soon exiled to the monastery in Yablechna. Guided by the decision of his synod and responding to the appeal of Russian circles, with the support of the Ministry of Church Affairs, on November the 10th, 1939, Archbishop Seraphim arrived in Warsaw in order to study the church situation and take over the leadership of the eparchy. He met with Metropolitan Dionysius, Russian officials, and the representatives of the German authorities. Based on the results of the trip, Archbishop Seraphim prepared a report for the Ministry of Church Affairs in Berlin, where Metropolitan Dionysius also planned to come, but was arrested by the Nazis on November 16. Polish and Russian researchers tend to explain the refusal of Metropolitan Dionysius to manage the church by the pressure of the German authorities. Ukrainian church historian Van Vlasovsky believed that it was the Russian community in Warsaw that had influenced his decision. Believably, Metropolitan Dionysius became the victim of denunciations by Russians and some Ukrainians who were unsatisfied with his position on the national issue in the interwar period. In particular, the leaders of the Russian Civic Committee, Sergei Wojciechowski and Father Dmitry Saikovich, and the group of Professor Mikhailo Zizikhin opposed him. Because of this, the Metropolitan repeatedly had to go to the Gestapo for interrogations. The reason for this was slander against by Russian organizations, which were dissatisfied with him and his activities as the head of the autocephalous Orthodox Church in Poland. With the help of the German Gestapo, they hoped to achieve their goal, recalled Archimandrite Afanasi Martos, who lived in the Metropolitan's house in Warsaw. The confirmation of the above mentioned is a fragment of the memoirs of the political and public figure of the white immigration, Sergei Wojciechowski, who mentions that Father Serykowicz was an opponent of the Polish autocephaly, Metropolitan Dionysii, and welcomed his removal. During a meeting in Berlin with George Leibrand, who headed the East Service of the Nazi Party Foreign Policy Department, Sergei Wojciechowski insisted on the abolition of autocephaly and the removal of Volodinsky, the joining of the Warsaw Metropolitanate to the Berlin Eparchy, and the appointment of Archbishop Seraphim as the head of the United Church. In addition, as it follows from the memoirs of Volodymyr Kubiyovich, the then Ukrainian community in Warsaw under the leadership of Dr. Yuri Lipa was an expression of the hostile attitude of Ukrainians towards Metropolitan Dionysii and contributed a lot to the difficulty of his position in the new German reality, given the Germans' negative and unliteral information. On November the 22nd, Metropolitan Dionysii was forced to write a letter to Archbishop Seraphim. Deprived of the physical opportunity due to the circumstances beyond my control to perform divine services and fulfill pastoral duties towards my flock, I ask your eminence to come to Warsaw in the next few days and temporarily accept under my authority and under your authority and management the Orthodox parishes located in the territory of the former Poland, which is currently a part of the general government. We will inform His All Holiness Patriarch Benjamin of Constantinople and His Eminence Metropolitan Anastasi of Sremsky Krasovci about the future. However, the Nazis, not satisfied with this text, did not allow the letter to be sent to Berlin. The next day, Metropolitan Dionysii, under pressure from the representatives of the German political power, according to some sources, the Gestapo, threatened him with a concentration camp, signed another document which stated the termination of the autocephalous existence of the Polish Church and the relinquishment of its leadership in favor of Archbishop Seraphim. I inform you that from the day of your entry into management, I refuse to manage the named church father. On November the 27th, he held a farewell divine service in the lower church of the Metropolitan Cathedral, handed over his powers and continued to live under house arrest in Otwock near Warsaw. Soon, the Metropolitan's closest colleagues were repressed. Personal Secretary Serhiy Yudenko died in the Mauthausen Nazi concentration camp, and the director of the Metropolitan Office, Yuri Roszczynski, was murdered by the Nazis in Dachau. It is worth noting that Metropolitan Dionysii, who was forced to relinquish administrative power over the Metropolitanate temporarily, did not lose his episcopal title as a Metropolitan of Warsaw. The clergy continued to mention his name at the service. In German documents, such as a combination of two positions by him without uniting the Berlin and Warsaw eparchies into one structure, was called a personal union, which, however, was temporarily for transition period. At this time, the autocephalous Orthodox Church of Poland is under your Archbishop's governance, so there is now a personal union between the Orthodox Church of Germany and the former Poland. However, in no way should one adhere to the view that until now the Orthodox Church of Poland has dissolved in the Orthodox Church of Germany. The Department for Church Affairs of the General Government stressed in a letter to Archbishop Seraphim. So, on the Ministry of Church Affairs initiative, the occupiers who successfully used Inter-Church International misunderstandings and conflicts, removed Metropolitan Dionysius from the duties of the first hierarch, trying to subordinate the Orthodox population of the conquered lands to the Archbishop of Berlin. This fit into the ministerial policy framework of creating of supranational Orthodox Church in Germany and territories it occupied. The expansion of the Berlin Diocese of the Russian Orthodox Church abroad fully corresponded to the interest of the Reich and its aggressive occupation policy, imposing its own rules of the game on the Orthodox bishops and disrupting the natural development of events. At the same time, according to the Russian historian Mikhail Shkarovsky, the resignation of the Metropolitan Dionysius in favor of Archbishop Seraphim surprises the government of Governor General Hans Frank. The German party and state authorities, not trusting the Metropolitan because of his anti-German address in 1939, did not yet have an agreed position on the future fate of the Polish Church and continued to conduct interdepartmental consultations. In particular, the Ministry for Church Affairs supported Archbishop Seraphim and the annexation of its Warsaw Eparchy to the Reich. At the same time, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Foreign Policy Service of the Nazi Party, and the Governor General's government sought to preserve the autocephaly of the Orthodox Church in occupied Poland. It was considered that it was given not to the Polish state, but to the Orthodox population, and therefore had the right to exist in new conditions. Using the imperial principle of divide and rule, the occupiers gave preferences to the Ukrainian Orthodox population and flipped it with its leaders. For example, in a memo from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the Ministry for Church Affairs, it was noted that religiously minded Ukrainians represent a precious factor as a counterweight to the Poles, which cannot be said about Russian immigrants who are neutral towards the Poles. The staff report of Nazi Party foreign policy analysts already contained specific recommendations regarding church policy in the general government. If the Ukrainian church in the Ukrainian state wants to be autocephalous, it must obtain permission from the mother church, Russian or Polish. For this reason, the current autocephalous Polish church must retain its independence in the future. The Ukrainian-Polish struggle was often carried out within the framework of a religious fight. Therefore, it would be expedient to establish an Orthodox episcopate in Cholmna, to appoint a Ukrainian bishop in Cholm, and to return the Orthodox churches annexed by the Poles to the Ukrainian Orthodox in the land of Cholm. With the consent of the Synod of the Russian Orthodox Church abroad, Archbishop Seraphim temporarily moved to Warsaw, came under the influence of local Russian circles, and immediately issued several controversial orders. For example, he founded the brotherhood named after Saint Volodymyr, headed by Father Saikovich, returned the old liturgical calendar, forbade the clergy to shave the beards and baptize Jews, and also restored the nativity of Theotokos brotherhood in Cholm. In addition, on February the 21st, 1940, a reorganization of the church management of the eparchy took place. Instead of a spiritual consistory, an episcopal council was created, which included Russian priests. As for the position of German factors in the Ukrainian church issue, as of January 1940, the majority of representatives of the state and party departments considered it ideal if an autocephalous Ukrainian church were formed in the general government. In a letter dated January 28, 1940, addressed to the Archbishop Seraphim, the Department of the Ecclesiastical Affairs of the general government expressed categorically against the abolition of the autocephaly, but at the same time insisted that the time has not yet come for the election of a bishop for the Cholmshchina. On February the 21st, 1940, in a letter to the Minister of Church Affairs, Hans Kerl, The head of the East section of the German Foreign Ministry, Peter Kleist, advocated the Ukrainization of the Orthodox Church as a guarantee for the loyal attitude of Ukrainians to Germany. The representatives of the Reich Security Main Office considered the proposal to establish an independent Ukrainian eparchy with its center in Warsaw quite acceptable. As a result, in February, Governor General Hans Frank and Minister Karl agreed on the official transition of church leadership during the war to Archbishop Seraphim on the conditions that the first hierarch of the Russian Orthodox Church abroad, Metropolitan Anastasy Hribanovsky, would not interfere in the internal affairs of the Warsaw Eparchy, preserve autocephaly, and appoint Ukrainian priests. Given this, Archbishop Seraphim, contrary to his convictions, was forced to make significant concessions to the Orthodox Ukrainians. First, he assured in writing that he would not take measures that could lead to the elimination of the autocephaly of the Orthodox Church in general government. Secondly, he gave up moving his residence from Berlin to Warsaw. Thirdly, he expressed his readiness to take the following steps soon: appoint Ukrainian priests to Ukrainian parishes, preserve the speeches and sermons during the service in Ukrainian language, and serve the liturgy in Church Slavonic language with Ukrainian pronunciation. In addition, the Archbishop announced that he would appoint a Ukrainian priest as the administrator of the Holmshchina, dissolve the Orthodox consistory in Warsaw, and dismiss its Russian employers. At first, Ukrainians placed certain hopes on him, expecting he would contribute to the Ukrainian church revival, but they were quickly disappointed. Brought up in Russian traditions, Archbishop Seraphim began to pursue an openly Russifying policy. In general, the Orthodox Church in occupied Poland underwent a profound reorganization, which included removing Metropolitan Dionysi and appointing Berlin Archbishop Seraphim as a temporary head of the Warsaw Eparchy. Most German departments were inclined to preserve the autocephaly of the Orthodox Church in general government. It was considered that it was given not to the Polish state, but to the Orthodox population, and therefore had the right to exist in the war conditions.